Hi everybody, welcome to Asian Talk. You must have seen this on the headlines that giant tech companies like Google, Meta, Amazon has been start laying off their employees ever since the start of 2022. And until now, a lot of companies has been laid off hundreds of thousands of employees. So a lot of my friends have got laid off during their H1b period, which kind of suck. And this is one of the worst experience in life. So that's the reason why today I'm gonna talk about what kind of things could you do if you get laid off during your H1b period. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. So let's talk about the backgrounds of H1b visa employees. Comparing to your average American employees, H1b visa holders only have a maximum of 6 years of work duration, and the company needs to file an additional renewal application since the initial 3 years of your H1b period. That requires time and efforts, but compared to an American employees, they don't have to go through the application process. Second thing is that the H1b employees tend to be more expensive. And why is that? Because you don't need to go through an extra layer of application to hire an American employee. However, sponsoring an H1b visa holders requires a larger size companies to spend thousands of dollars for one H1b applications. And when you got your H1Bs, if you are planning to, or if you are in the middle of the process of a green card employer sponsored application, that requires an additional of $10,000 to $20,000 of application fees that needs to be paid by the employer. So that means hiring a H1B employee and keep the person within the company requires a lot more additional cost to the companies. Now let's look at what you should do if you get laid off during your H1B visas. And here in my slides, we have 4 important key steps you could follow. First is the H1B grace period. And second is H1b filing time that you need to be paying attention to. And third is job search and interviews and some tips. And the final step is what is a backup plan and should you need any backup plans at all. So let's dive into the first one. The H1b 60-day rules are the H1b layoff grace period, meaning that from your former employer, once you get laid off, the time starts counting and you get 60 days before you are hired and officially registered to another company. The H1B transfer is also counted within that 60-day period, so the time is really ticking. And one thing you could do and you should do is you should always negotiate with your former employer, meaning that even though you're not begging them to let you stay in the company, there's some areas you can still navigate. For example, you can go to the HR or your manager saying that you need 2 weeks of unpaid leaves. So that you are not officially working for that company still, but you're still under their payroll, even though you're getting paid $0 of amount. Once you're officially getting ended, then your H1B grace period will start. The third is that if for any reasons this H1B layoff will result in you leaving the US and returning to your home country, your former employer should be responsible to cover some of the expenses. For example, Meta was paying 60 weeks of base pay and 2 additional weeks for every year you work for them at one point if they are letting somebody go and they need to get out of the country. And let's jump into the second slide. So H1B file time is something that you must consider if you are entering into that grace period. So because the 60-day grace period includes the time of your H1B transfer, meaning that once you get your offer, you still need 2 weeks for every legal processing for lawyers and everything like that to file a LCA application. And then different companies take different procedures. So you also need to pay attention to your new company's lawyers and their HRs and what their requirements are. And let's go into the next slide, job search and interviews. So when you are entering your interview stage, always make sure that you have enough time to file the H1B transfer, meaning that you should set the time frame around 40 to 50 days maximum to get your new offer. For example, if you are currently under your H1b grace period and you only have 10 days and you're only at round 1, round 2 stages of getting a new job, you can still get a new job technically, but we would recommend you to look into any backup plans, because even though you get an offer, you might be exceeding that 60 days grace period. And also, one important tip is that when you are doing interviews with different companies, always let them know you're on that particular time frame, that you're looking to get into a company, for example, within this month or next month. So if they are not making that decision as the same pace as your pace, as your speed, then you should probably consider someone else. All right, final slice, the backup plan. For example, if you haven't gotten an offer, because we know this could be difficult at times, Day 1 CPT programs is something that you could consider. How this works is that you transfer your H1b status back to a F1 status, and then you can enroll as a full-time student. You can take the majority of courses online, and then you could start as soon as possible. Sometimes it could be the first day of the semester start, and you can be back into your career hunting or your full-time employment under that Day 1 CPT program. So I would recommend H1b laid off employees to at least apply for several Day 1 CPT universities. Applications sometimes could be very easy because you already have experience working in the US. Sometimes they don't really require recommendation letters and you don't need language tests, so you should submit those applications really quick, and application fees are free sometimes. So by the end of the book, always apply to 2 to 3 schools, and while you are doing your job interviews, the worst case scenario is that you are out of status, and that is something that will stick with your immigration history and you won't be able to erase that. I know that getting an H1b at the first place is extremely difficult, so I hope this video could be a good help if you are navigating through H1b layoffs and you want to transfer your H1b as soon as possible, or you wanted to use a backup plan. Please make sure to give this video a like or subscribe to our channel. I'll keep making content regarding H1Bs, OPTs, and all the information that you need to know. And until then, I'll see you in our next video.